Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Catherine Walters, and I'm the host for the Joyful You Summit. I am an intuitive healer and joy coach, and my business is called Guided Change. And I help people who are stressed and overwhelmed to feel a sense of peace, joy, and happiness. Now, I've gathered together 22 amazing experts who are going to help you experience more positivity, energy, joy, fun, happiness, and bliss. Now, today I'm really excited because I get to talk with, or we get to meet Jonathon Robinson. And Jonathon is a psychotherapist and the best-selling author of 10 books, including Finding Happiness Now. Right? Okay, I hope I make sure I got that right. Thank you. And he has a new book out that he's going to tell us about too, which is awesome. And he's just known for his practical, fabulous tips. So I'm just welcome, Jonathon. Thank you for being here and sharing your expertise with everyone.
My pleasure, Catherine. Looking forward to it.
Oh, good. Awesome. So one of the first things that I'm curious about, and I know everybody that's watching this are interested in, is how did you get what in your life caused you to want to focus on happiness and joy and bliss? What prompted you?
Well, I had the best motivator, which is misery.
That's a good one. It's a real good one.
Yeah, a fire under your butt will usually get you motivated. Mm-hmm. So I brought up an incredibly dysfunctional family. And so by age 12, I decided to start reading self-help books. I got into hypnosis and meditation by the time I was 13. And, I read hundreds of books. I found that most of them were basically full of fluff and crap. But every now and then I'd find something that was really helpful. And I started to use those techniques. And I'm also kind of lazy. So I specialized in methods that could be done in under 2 minutes or less. And most of my books deal with methods that can be done in under 2 minutes or less because they were the only ones I would use. And eventually I found that got me a popular audience and got me on Oprah a bunch of times. And I've been able to disseminate these techniques that I think can really change the world.
Oh, that's fabulous. And people are so busy. They're stressed, they're overwhelmed, they don't have a lot of time. If there's a book that they have to read for a couple of hours, they don't have that time, or they won't set aside the time for themselves. So yeah. I love that you have those short 2-minute tips or less that people can just, I have a feeling because it's short, are they also easy to remember to do?
Yeah, that's true. And you can do them even 3 or 4 times a day in under 10 minutes. So we all need all the help we can get right now because of the pace of life. And I find that once you find something that can be done quickly, easily, and effectively, then you're more likely to do it because you're getting, it's kind of like ice cream. You don't have to tell people they should eat ice cream. It's something that they can do in a short period of time and it immediately feels good, so they do it.
Right. Okay. So now they also must be practical. Can I do them at the grocery store or when I'm waiting in line somewhere or I'm sitting in traffic?
Absolutely. There's different types of techniques that you can do at different places. Like, for example, I meditate and do yoga, but the disadvantage of those things is that it's very hard to do that in the grocery store. I have, but you look a little funny.
Yeah, I have too. I'll stretch in the grocery store. Yep, when I'm late in line. Yep.
Right. But I have about 100 different techniques that can be done in the grocery store in under 2 minutes, and I find that really people have to try different stuff to find the ones that work immediately for them. Everything from supplements that make you feel incredibly joyous. That only takes 10 seconds to put a pill in your mouth. And these are very healthy supplements that actually make you feel really good. To, here's a device, you might have seen these, you put it on your head.
I used to have one of those. Yeah, I had that when I was in hypnotherapy school. I bought one because it's great for headaches and it stimulates the brain.
Yeah, and it makes other people happy. If you do this to, a mate or a friend, that's a really good, feel-good thing. That takes a minute. It costs $1. And but I literally have 100 of these methods. And a lot of them have to do with letting go of negative emotions very quickly, because we all have that. And if you don't know, kids do it, they have a tantrum. A 1-year-old has a tantrum, and then they're absolutely happy
Right,
again.
they get away with it.
Yeah. And because they throw that tantrum for a minute, they actually can then feel good right away. Whereas adults will tend to resist their negative emotions or hold on to them, and therefore they get kind of emotionally constipated.
Definitely. So can you give us an example of something that we can do to get rid of those negative emotions? I mean, I know I go to the gym and I take a medicine ball and I slam it.
Yeah.
And that feels really good to get that energy out of my body. And I do it intentionally. But what are some of the things that you have?
Well, I'll mention like 5 or 10.
Okay.
I have 101 in my latest book.
Wow.
And a lot of those involve technological things, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But for one thing, just an act of kindness actually boosts your own happiness level very quickly. So doing an act of kindness for a friend or a stranger actually boosts your happiness level.
That's
Singing,
sweet.
singing a favorite song in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I like to look at pictures of people I love on my smartphone and remember special times with them. We all have these smartphones, and I'll look at my wife or my dog or my friends, and I'll think of a special moment I had with them and really try to feel them in my heart. And that's a very simple thing you can do in a minute. And it's amazing how effective something like that is. One of my favorite things to do is to feel gratitude. We all know that that's important. But it can be hard to feel grateful or have a method that works for you. So many years ago, I heard of an Indian guru who supposedly had this magical mantra to help people feel overwhelming gratitude. Well, I'm always looking for the latest thing. So
Yeah, I like that.
I went to India, and I traveled 18,000 miles to get what this magical mantra was. And, India is not an easy place to get to.
No, been there, it's not.
Right. So I travel 18,000 miles, then take a rickshaw for 5 hours. Then I'm in the ashram, I'm jet lagged, I'm worn out. I finally get a chance to meet this guru, and I say, I traveled all the way from India to find out your magical mantra. What is it? And he says in his Indian accent, yes, my mantra is the most powerful mantra on earth. Normally I have people wait many weeks before I tell them the mantra, but I will give you the mantra since you traveled all the way from America. And I'm very excited. I lean in to hear what it is. I don't want to miss anything. And he says, whenever possible, repeat the following words. The mantra I give you are the words, thank you.
Wow.
I thought he was kidding, but then I looked at him and he wasn't smiling. I said, that's it? Thank you? I traveled 18,000 miles for a thank you? That's it?
Oh, don't you love it?
He says, no. That's it is the mantra you have been using. And that makes you feel like you never have enough. My mantra is thank you, not that's it. That's it with the you know at.
Oh, and that's so simple. If we could just say, if we can say thank you, not only for all the positive, all the kindness that people share with us, or that abundance check that comes in, but even for the negative things in our lives.
Yeah.
I think that's also something good to say thank you for.
Well, that's the advanced method, but really, we live better than billionaires lived 20 years ago. We have free entertainment, we have better healthcare, we have all this stuff available to us. But if you don't, he mentioned actually when I was pissed off, and I kind of said, well, thank you. And he said, no, it's not thank you. You must say it from your heart many times a day. So when you eat good foods, right before, say thank you. When you see your child, say thank you. When you see your pet that you love, say thank you. When you tap into the internet, say thank you for this technology. When you hear a recording like this, thank you for this information. So I did this because I traveled that far, and I'm saying thank you for my water, thank you for the shower, thank you for the internet, thank you for Skype. I just kept doing that for 2 seconds from my heart many times, and within about an hour I had tears of gratitude going down my face because I realized I was taking all this for granted, and suddenly I was actually feeling it. So that's a nice simple method that you can do.
And I love this story that you shared around that. So it really hits home that then I know the next time that I say thank you, it's going to be so much more meaningful.
Yeah. You know, connecting with your heart in little moments is
Hmm.
really key. And we're also busy nowadays looking at our smartphones. I call them WMDs, widgets of mass distraction.
Oh,
You know,
definitely. I mean, I rarely use mine, and my friends know that. And it's like, like why I say, I thought of you while I was at my walk. Well, why didn't you text me? I'm like, going, no, I'm out on a walk. I don't want to text anybody. Then I'm
right.
away from technology. I'm looking at nature and,
Yeah.
thanking nature for being there and just giving me peace. So will you repeat that? What do you call technology or the smartphones?
Well, we had this terror thing called WMDs,
Right.
where supposedly other cultures are making these weapons of mass destruction. But we have WMDs in our pocket now. I call
Mm,
them widgets of mass distraction.
yes. It really is because they distract us from our own heart. They distract us from having conversation with other people that are right next to us. Where I remember before the pre-smartphones, where you actually sat down at somewhere and you talked to people, like at a coffee shop or something. And now it's like people are so engaged with their devices that they don't even connect to the person right beside them. That can be with people out to dinner with their own family or friends.
Absolutely. So what we need now are new WMDs. I call them widgets of mass delight.
Oh, I like that.
So, I mean,
So wages
this
of mass
this
delight.
is a widget of mass delight. I
Mhm.
actually carry these around, and I will go up to people and say, "Would you like to be tingled?" and do this, and people love it. Um, so in my book called "The Technology of Joy," I come up with 101 methods that generally can be done in under a couple minutes for helping people tap into the joy within. And
Mhm.
some of these are, little simple things like that tingler. Some of them are actually things that you can buy that stimulate your neurochemicals.
Mhm.
Some of them are supplements that you can buy that make you feel joyous and most people don't know about. One of my favorites is something called sobuthiamine, which is a B1 vitamin that's altered to cross the blood-brain barrier.
Oh,
And
wow.
so B1 is something that's helpful for you, but when it hits your brain, what it feels like is joy.
Oh.
Now, I used to, as a graduate student, I studied the effects of the drug ecstasy,
Mhm.
which can make somebody feel good, but it's illegal and there's all kinds of body problems that go with it.
Right.
But nowadays, there's some stuff in the book that I talk about where it's actually good for you and it feels good. And when something's good for you and feels good, then I think it's worth checking out.
Awesome. And I'm assuming that like all of this is not addictive and so forth. Is it something, are some of these like supplements things that we could take on a daily basis?
Absolutely. Just like you would take a vitamin on a daily basis. We aren't getting the nutrients from our food the way we did many years ago. So a lot of people are undernourished, especially their brain, and they
Mhm.
don't even know it. So when you take these, quote, brain supplements, what are called cognitive enhancers, you notice that, wow, I just feel a lot better. And it's actually something that your brain is finds helpful, and so is your body. So you end up feeling better.
So that would definitely help people who are stressed or depressed or overwhelmed, anxious, tense to look into some of these supplements that you're talking about that are mentioned in the book.
Yeah, and it does help those people. I'm not somebody who has had depression since I was a teenager when I was depressed, but I still notice the effects of these things. It kind of allows you to be at your best.
Oh, and that's nice because instead of going like I looked on your website where you commented about caffeine and the ups and downs of caffeine. So
Hmm.
I know caffeine really dramatically affects my mood where I get zingy. I mean literally or I get angry.
Uh-huh.
It pushes an anger button that I have to be very mindful of. So I'm assuming that these supplements would not have that kind of effect and yet you'd still have that same sort of uplifting sense of joy and energy.
Well, I mentioned about a dozen of them in my book, and what you find, just like caffeine, different things work for different people.
Mhm.
I like caffeine, but I get a tolerance to it very quickly. Whereas some of these other supplements, I haven't built any tolerance to it, and they feel really great. But you have to play around. I mentioned where to buy them for real cheap, so you can try 3 or 4 and find the one that works for you. Just like, take this thing again. Once again, I love this. Some people hate it.
Oh, that's true. Some people they're almost like they're too sensitive for it, and
right.
Right.
So I think we all have to invest a little bit of time and energy and money in finding what brings us joy easily. And if you do that, you eventually find, a lot of people haven't really invested much time, energy, and money. They know that sex works for them. They know that, a couple other things work for them, but they haven't tried many different things. And if you do try a bunch of different things, you find, wow, that really works for me. That's even better than sex, and it's a lot easier to get,
Right. So it seems like one of the things that people I think really need to know is that they get to choose to do these things for themselves, that they don't have to settle for having a crappy mood, or like their day starts on a sour note or something, and it's just going to go, the expressions is going to go downhill from there. It's like what I'm hearing you say is it doesn't have to. You can have these other tools, or the tools that you recommend in your books, or the supplements, or something. Even though the head thing, and so what I'm hearing you say is we get to take responsibility for our joy.
Yes, absolutely. Most people's method for being happy or joyous is to try to control all the people and situations in their life to be exactly the way they want it to be.
Right.
Well, that's very tiresome. And no matter how good or rich you are, there's a lot of things you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
So the other way to find joy or happiness is to have things that always bring you joy and happiness. If I'm listening to Twist and Shout by the Beatles and dancing, I'm going to be joyous.
Right.
It doesn't matter what's happened that day.
Exactly.
Or if I take certain supplements, no matter what's going on that day, I'm going to feel pretty good. So there's also, as I mentioned in my book, The Technology of Joy, there's more and more gadgets coming out, like apps.
Sure.
And even things that put electricity in your brain that stimulate the pleasure part of your brain. There's all these new things coming out that most people don't know about that can be very interesting. I just bought a chair that if you sit in the chair, it induces profound spiritual experiences.
Wow.
Now it costs several $1,000 and I'm, so that's not practical for most people, but there are also audio things that you can get that just costs a couple bucks that I talk about in the book and people can find on the web that help to balance out your brain and lead to a feeling of joy. Well, that's a lot easier way of finding joy than trying to, say, arrange a trip to Disneyland with your kids and spend thousands of dollars and wait in line so you have 2 minutes of joy.
Right. Or the things that we do that are more addicting, like shopping, or, maybe just spending hours on social media or whatever else. And that may not even give us joy, but it's something to pass the time. It's something that we're, is comforting. But it doesn't put us in the joy state because joy's higher. Joy's there. Joy's present wherever we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we look for it, if we open our eyes, it's simple, just like what you mentioned with the thank you from the guru. It's joy is there if we choose to see it.
Yeah, and we need those reminders. That's why little kids can be helpful, or dogs can be helpful.
Or cats.
Or cats, yeah. I'm more of a dog person.
I have a cat.
But, there are teachers. And if you are forgetting about that, certainly nature or being around young kids or dog or cat can also be a good reminder.
Right. And that's, again, like you mentioned, the photograph of someone that you love that's on your smartphone. And I love how you're incorporating the smartphone, our technology, because it's there. We use it. We're all, everybody is pretty much guilty of it. So that whether it's on your your screensaver or your smartphone or whatever you have, your family or your pets, or just so that recollection of being with them. But it's also what I liked what you said about connecting back to your heart and a joyful experience you had with them, so that it brings you back to that, our subconscious mind remembers that beautiful experience, and then it helps to elevate us into that place of joy again. So I love how you're using, it's like the technology's not going to go away.
Right.
You don't want it to go away. So you're helping us and showing us how we can actually incorporate and utilize the technology into helping us feel more joyful.
Absolutely. And it can be, like what I said earlier, whether you have a widget of mass distraction or a widget of mass delight is really up to how you use the technology, and also whether or not you're aware of the latest technologies, because there's always these new things coming out, as I said, that most people don't know about. I did a talk at Google about a year ago. It's up on YouTube, and I was talking about some of these technologies, and people really wanted to know what they were because they haven't hit the mainstream yet.
Okay.
So some of them have, like cognitive enhancers are starting to get to be known, but there's literally dozens of them coming out every year now, and some of them are really, really good. And that's why people have to educate themselves, because technology is a downward force if you don't know how to make use of it in the right way.
Absolutely. So is there a special way you recommend for people to use their technology, or any ways to search for these joyful and happy apps that are on their devices?
Well, the cheapest way, I think, is to get my book and read about 100 of them.
Good idea.
And then I kind of give guidance as to which one might be best suited for you, like how much they cost. They range from free to $3,000. So, if money's an issue, find the ones that cost less than $2.
Right.
Also, they range from what they do. Some of them increase your pleasure. Some of them help your relationships. Some of them increase your sense of meaning. Some of them create a feeling of upliftment and joy. So there's different things, and you can kind of shop around and see which one would best suit your needs. So that's why I wrote the book, so people could be introduced to a lot of them all in one place. But then it does take a little bit of trial and error just to find out what works for you. Just like you might need to go to a couple movies to find the one that you say, wow, that one really worked for me.
Right. And plus, I would think, as we change, like maybe something works well 1 month, and for a particular issue, and then maybe something else happens, and like you mentioned, the pleasure thing, maybe that's what you need. So if you kind of explore, so it's a way of people not only taking responsibility, but even like being curious and open, and that exploring that's fun. So play a game with yourself. Oh, let's try this one, or oh, honey, this one works for you, but no, that one doesn't appeal to me. So you it's so you can make it a game, which again is using it to make it more playful, and that in itself is again bringing us back to joy and happiness.
I'm around a 2-year-old nowadays, a little bit, not mine, but somebody else's, and I'm noticing how much they're into exploring and how much joy they get from that. As adults, the average 2-year-old laughs 100 times a day. The average 13-year-old laughs twice a day.
Oh, wow.
So we need to become explorers. We need to become more like kids. We've heard that before.
Absolutely.
And there are actually some apps that can help you with that. Having lots of little gizmos around.
Gizmos.
Gizmos. And they're little props to help me to explore and have fun and express joy with my friends and family.
And I love that, because it's like, I mean, if you saw my desk, I've got all sorts of little toys that when I'm on the phone, it's like, oh yeah, there's crystal, there's heart, and it's just, it's an automatic where I'm working, but I'm playing at the same time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it makes work more playful.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like work. It's just like, oh, I get to do this, and I get to be on the phone and play with this little toy at the same time. And it makes such a difference in my attitude, and also the experience that we have when we can bring more play and more joy into everything that we're doing.
And they also make great gifts. This is a little gift I have. This is a
I want to see.
finger acupressure ring.
Oh, cool.
And it goes on your finger like this, and it stimulates your acupressure points. And it feels really good.
And you can put it for like any finger?
Yeah, any finger or your toes. And I love to play with it, and it feels good. I give them away, and people are very grateful. They
Oh,
cost
I'd love one of those. I think you need more than one, though. I think you need, like, both hands or, like, toes or something. You need multiple.
You have the same disease that I have, which is yes, more is always better. I am always looking for that.
Well, I mean, you can just you could wear them like rings.
I
Right?
do.
Yeah, exactly. And they would be lots of fun. So, Jonathan, I know you have a free gift for everybody here that's listening, our viewers. So would you mind sharing what that is?
Sure. I have a website called findinghappiness.com.
Okay.
And if people go to that site, you can put in your email address, and it will give you 45 minutes of some of my favorite happiness boosting methods. It'll be 45 minutes of audios and entertaining stories, but I give 3 of my favorite methods, the ones that I have found to be most effective when dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's available on my website, findinghappiness.com.
Okay, findinghappiness.com. Awesome. And do you have your book of news?
I do have it. Wait, here's
I've seen it online, but I'd love to see the cover of it.
This is a postcard of the cover of it.
Oh, the technology of joy.
Yeah. And it's available at Amazon. And it's a fun read. It's fun to learn about all these new things that are coming out to help people feel better. They're a lot better than antidepressants, and generally they cost a lot less, and they're generally more effective as well. So
I mean, and that's coming from you as a psychotherapist. So that's fabulous, because I know when I was depressed in the past, I mean, I absolutely refused. I'm like, no drugs. I'm just not going there. And
yeah.
and I said, I'm going to find other ways that are going to work for me that will help me feel happier. Like, I remember when my mother passed, I made sure that I saw something joyful and positive every single day. It didn't matter if it was the sky. As long as the sky was beautiful, and I thought, okay, that's my moment of happiness. I'm going to breathe it and I'm going to enjoy it. And I know life goes on. And it's one of those simple things that, the sky's there. We can always look at it. But it's just that, choosing to find that joy and happiness. But I also love how you're encouraging us to utilize all of our, what did you call them? Our delights. But I can't remember.
Widgets of mass delight.
Widgets of mass delight. Oh, I love. Is that in your book? Did you put that in your book?
Sure.
Delight. I mean, because that's fabulous. That I have a widget of mass delight. I mean, that's fun, and we want that.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to find those little things that can take you to joy and bliss easily, effectively in modern day life. And to do that, you want to spend a little bit of time, energy, and money investing in yourself that way, and learning about these things and trying them out and finding out what works best for you.
Absolutely. And I love how you're encouraging our viewers to do that, because you wrote about it. You gave them the information, but you can't do it for someone. They've got to choose it. They've got to take responsibility and do it for themselves, because ultimately our joy and our happiness is our responsibility. Nobody else can make us happy or joyful.
For better or worse, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we're stuck with that. But many of us don't believe that we have that power.
Yeah. Well, most of us know that there's something that we do that really makes us feel good. And expand that from one thing to 2 things. When you have 100 things that make you feel good, you're going to feel a lot better than the person who only knows how to turn on the TV.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, because then it's like you have a whole bank, a treasure chest of resources that are at your fingertips, and you've shared so many of them, in our conversation, that will really help you, even if they're not ones that, I think it at least sparked their imagination. And of course, and it also gets them started on exploring, well, hey, what works for me? It's like you said about children, so that we can actually experience more laughter in our lives, just laughing at ourselves or laughing when we're walking down the street rather or smiling at a stranger, that makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
really glad that you're doing this.
oh, thank you. Well, Jonathan, it's been a real pleasure. I love all the tips and things that you've shared with everyone. Just a wealth of information. And I really encourage people to go to your website and check out their free gifts. I know I'm going to because I actually have listened to some of it already, but I want to get further into depth with it because you can never have too many tips and tools to use and have at your disposal because we like variety. I mean, a child does not play with the same toy day in and day out, and I think we get to go back to that and give ourselves a little bit more variety.
Yeah, and this stressful age, we need all the help we can get. So it's good to have all the technological things that can actually help us tune into the joy and peace within.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your expertise. Hold on a minute for me. And thank you, everyone. And we'll be back again soon. Take good care now. Bye-bye.